Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a high-level game of StarCraft 2. Today we have ByuN versus Prince. Here in the bottom right, ByuN. In the top left we have Prince. It's a best of 5. As Prince starts out with sending a really quick worker out across the map. And ByuN keeps his own workers home to just start building a depot. A pylon is going down, so this could be either for a cannon rush, or perhaps... No, this is a cannon rush. I mean, this is a second probe. It would be extremely unlikely to be anything but a cannon rush. We recently saw this being used in the GSL by Zest to great effect. He did end up losing that game. We'll have to wait and see as to what Prince actually has planned. So it's a faraway pylon here. Does not want to be spotted until that first cannon goes down. It almost feels like this spot is barely out of range. Perhaps his plan is to go up towards the high ground, more hidden in the back than anything else. I don't think ByuN is quite going to be scouting this for a while. Prince, can we get going? Yep, there we go. Okay, that's one cannon. That is a second cannon in a slightly odd position, I have to admit. I think a full worker pool can just kill this. Yeah, this is a cannon that is completely exposed. A very weird start here for Prince. And ByuN with a completely inefficient response here is going to instead try to kill as many SCVs as he can, or as many probes. If he can clear all the probes and there's no pylon on the high ground, Prince is just dead. Like, there's nothing he will be capable of doing. This Marine could guard the ramp right now, and should probably be guarding the ramp. ByuN needs to pay very close attention though to this Marine, making sure that this probe can't get up, provide vision for the cannon, which can then in turn start attacking the Marine. Pylon does go up and that provides vision. Probe also still providing vision. It's gonna get taken out by this Marine. That is a big deal. If factory's already on the way though. Pylons, like, even if this pylon goes up, this probe will never be capable of building a single cannon here. And even if it can build a single cannon, two cannons actually, it's still gonna just get cancelled before it finishes. Yeah, this is game. Gateway is just now on the way, no gases yet. Factory is about to be done. High ground vision is about to be destroyed. Another probe goes up, but it won't even be capable of throwing down a cannon. This is GG. Yep, Prince taps out. ByuN takes game number 1 in his best of 5. Game number 2 is going to be played over here on Hardwire after a very quick first game. Prince decides to keep his first worker at home for just a little bit longer. Just a slightly odd execution, I have to say, on that cannon rush. If you prepare a cannon rush, this surely can't be the outcome, where all of your cannons can easily be surrounded. There's no pylon on the high ground to A, provide vision, and B, provide a way to build more cannons on the high ground. It's just kind of odd all around, honestly. We have a gateway first coming out of Prince rather than that forge that we saw in the last game. We'll have to wait and see to kind of figure out what he's going to be doing with that. ByuN most likely will just open up something standard. Prince is known to be a little bit of a cheesy player, well, a little bit. He's known to be one of the cheesiest Protoss players on Korea, but he has achieved good success with this, especially in recent days. I believe his current MMR on the Korean ladder is 6-4, and for a little bit of context, or for a point of comparison in a way, I think Trap's MMR is usually between 6-4 and 6-6. So this is really quite high MMR. This is no joke MMR. This guy is pretty decent. He's a fantastic ladder toss. He's opening up with a Nexus B4 core, which has been kind of coming back in recent days, I want to say. That Nexus B4 core just providing extra economy, slightly faster second gas, which in turn allows the Protoss to get the faster tech out. Something that we don't very often see from a core first, because it's not possible. Core first, of course, does give you an adept that is about 9 seconds faster. This Cybercore should finish around 210, 211, 209. Actually, if it's a gateway scout, it should be 209, 210. And that means that the first unit can start 8-9 seconds later than it usually would start with a core first. Now, especially because these first buildings are out of position, this Reaper might actually be capable of doing something, because the road from the gateway to the main mineral line is a little bit longer than it usually is. ByuN is going to spot the fact that this is a Nexus B4 core and will immediately go up into the main base. Ooh, he should have gone way faster. Bit of a mistake, lost about a second there. Pushing, well, you know, kind of back and forth. Is still going to get one Reaper, or one probe with the Reaper. and will be able to get out here successfully. So yeah, this is really the one of the downsides, especially on smaller maps with the Nexus before core, is that you can just lose a probe like that. On the other hand, it just does provide really way better economy in general, and way better gas economy specifically. So even though he lost one worker, it still is better. The problem as well with this build being is that Prince right now is completely in the dark. He has no clue what the follow-up is. This could have been a factory before reactor. This can be a double Marauder build, which is what ByuN actually is going for here. But it could also be a 3-Rex, and you know, there's just so many options, and Prince is completely unaware. That's another big disadvantage, of course, of this core before Nexus, that if the Reaper makes it to your side of the map, sending out a unit to scout is difficult, and the first scouting info is going to be coming from this Oracle instead. Now, as a follow-up, we are going to be seeing, this is like a semi 2-1-1 opener, and most likely we'll follow up with like a 2 or triple mine drop. These 2 Marauders will hop in towards the natural, will be capable of taking out this Stalker, but well, as a result also both of these Marauders will die, and I don't think a single probe will fall. Nope, it won't. Both Marauders fall. Robotics facility, ooh. Okay, Prince planning on actually following this up with Phoenix Colossi, I guess. We have one Phoenix out already. This Reaper managed to bug himself over the wall by throwing a grenade on himself. It's not the most pleasant thing to do, but it works. The bounce gets you over the wall, or over here over the wall. I missed it, so I didn't know where he went, but that usually is the way to get in. This is an uncommon style. The Oracle into Phoenix Colossi. It is something we don't see very often, and it has not been spotted yet, which makes this a little bit harder to deal with for ByuN. I'm quite curious to see how this will pan out. Now, ByuN is aware that there is one Phoenix at least, so sending out this triple mine drop is already quite ballsy. If all these mines just get caught, that would be terrible. Terrible news here for ByuN. There's only a single lift currently available. Second Phoenix is about to pop out though, and with 2 lifts against 3 mines, well, should not be capable of losing much more than 2-3 workers, no? Yeah, 2 workers end up dying, but all mines will go down, and if he's quick with the response as well, this medevac could also be in a bit of trouble. Phoenixes are not. Yes, they will be going for a hunt, a medevac hunt. One of the most fun hunts in the world, especially if you get it. Robo Bay is on the way as well, and I think this time around, yeah, I mean, ByuN is very well aware of what is going on. Starts turrets immediately, and perhaps a faster third base as well, or what really is the follow-up plan here for ByuN? As Prince already has a third base running, he has pretty decent tech, he's getting these high value units, Phoenixes, Colossi, getting the thermal lens. Production is not looking as brilliant. I mean, we're working off 2 gates, a Stargate and a robotics facility. Perhaps a forge could be added, a 3rd gate, or at some point the extra gases and maybe a 2nd Stargate, depending a bit on what Prince wants to get into. Yep, it's going to be a 2nd Stargate, so we'll be playing Phoenix Colossi into Carrier from here on out, and ByuN will need to figure out a way to deal with that somewhat efficiently, somewhat effectively. Double batteries are in position. Another battery being constructed here, so Prince is afraid and really respects this first push out here out of ByuN. These Phoenixes, however, will kind of pick up all reinforcements that want to march across the map, and on top of that can also perhaps kill a couple of SCVs. No, Prince wants to go back home. He's afraid of a drop, and he's probably afraid for a very good reason, because there is a double drop already heading towards his main base. Prince not quite in position yet, is barely just going to miss it. And these 2 medevacs will start dropping in towards the main base. 5 Phoenixes are out here. The mine starts burrowing as well. This is a lot of trouble. This is not quite what Prince wanted to happen, because Phoenixes, once the drop has landed, just aren't that brilliant. Phoenixes, while the medevacs are flying by themselves with loads of units in it, are brilliant, but if the units have landed, the Phoenixes just don't deal too well with Marines, especially if they're being healed. Mine is going to shoot on that Zealot. The super battery is putting in some real work as well, and this position seems to be secured, at least for now, for Prince. 59 workers against 56. Third base about to finish up here for ByuN as well. 5 barracks finishing up, and ByuN is going to clean up the gateway, the cybernetics core, and the pylon that provided the wall against the Reaper in the early game. So that is a another decent chunk of infrastructure that Prince will be forced to rebuild. You can't just live your life without a cyber core. You can't live your life without the pylon, and you probably need to rebuild that gateway as well, I think. And the cyber core is especially valuable because it could provide the +1 air weapons for the Phoenixes. Plenty of money in the bank here for Prince. He's just not quite spending it because he is lacking that infrastructure. He is not capable of taking a fort base yet. This is one of the many problems that Phoenix Colossi often has, especially if you're not planning of going into charge lots afterwards, is that you just start floating a lot of money. And the reason for that is because getting more gateways to produce stuff is kind of useless. You don't want 10, 15 slow zealots in your army. So what often ends up happening is that you just spend it in cannons and Nexi. But if you can't take a fort base, you often be in trouble. Prince starts by attacking his own pylon. That is obviously not the optimal response to a 4 medevac drop in your main base. I still think it's going to be fine though. Super battery providing coverage here for these Phoenixes. And the Colossi will take care of these Marines. Marines are not really capable of taking out the Phoenixes while they're being healed. Is Colossi perhaps in a bit of trouble though? A couple of Marauders start shooting at it. A lot of Phoenixes do end up going down there. How many Phoenixes have fallen already? 7 Phoenixes have fallen already. Prince still floating an astronomical amount of money. If all of this money would have been invested in units, well, this game would look slightly different, but as that isn't quite the case, I'm starting to become a little bit afraid, a little bit scared here for Prince. Yes, he has a fort base on the way, but losing all these Phoenixes and being on such low production means it's extremely difficult to rebuild these Phoenixes. And on top of that, we have ByuN following this up with 3 more barracks. So he's going to be playing a very high momentum, 8 barracks Terran style, only building medevacs. Completely different from what we see a lot of the other Terrans do against this type of carrier play. They love getting a fast second starport and get pumping out a lot of Vikings, especially European Terrans are a huge fan of that. But here we see ByuN. He says, hey, I don't give a crap what the European Terrans do. I want to start moving out with Marauders. I want to start moving out with Marines. Can I do that? And I think the answer might just be yes here. Fort base is being thrown down. Turret is also going down there. I don't think Prince is ever going to march across the map with these Phoenixes though. Not anytime soon for any harassment. Any impulse crystals on the way, as well as the first 2 carriers, but there's still not a single air weapons upgrade. And as I say it starts, but this just is a little bit too late in my opinion. As ByuN, he has a huge army. He actually does have a huge army. 5 Colossi are good, but I wouldn't have minded 1 or 2 Disruptors in this army, rather than this many Colossi. Because it's just such a Marauder heavy army. It feels like Disruptor makes slightly more sense here, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Only 2 Colossi on this side. We have a bit of a rotation coming in here for Prince. 4 mine drop at the 3rd base. Prince needs to be so careful with his army. Like he sees the middle army and he needs to start rotating these Colossi towards the top. Yeah, there we go. There's only 3 Colossi here. Super battery gets popped immediately, but also gets sniped down immediately. Marauders will start jumping on top of these Colossi, and I don't think there's enough Prince here for ByuN's massive bio army. The first 2 carriers do end up popping out right now. Still 2 Colossi alive. Yeah, the Colossi at the top side here has died. Phoenixes and carriers go hard, but there's no real energy left because the EMPs keep hitting these Phoenixes. Interceptor count is currently at 2. 3rd base has fallen and 23 workers also go down. 5th base already on the way here for ByuN, and now comes the transition into double port Vikings. The upgrades for the Vikings aren't there yet. The extra upgrades for the bio aren't there yet either, but I don't think ByuN actually cares. He's taking a 7th and an 8th gas and he's getting ready for a late game, while Prince is getting ready to retake his 4th base. Prince in an absolutely abysmal position at this point. He does have decent map vision, but he just doesn't have the army. There's no way he's going to survive the next push. 8 ghosts around, not a single Disruptor out. Colossi are good, but they're not brilliant against ghosts. Like, Disruptors really are the way to go against the big ghost Marauder armies. So Colossi just don't deal with these high HP units that well. A couple of cannons are being taken out. Super battery once again gets popped, but before these interceptors even make it to the Terran units, I think all of them will have fallen already. Vikings in the back adding a little bit of damage output against the interceptors. The carriers are empty, the Colossi falls, and I think this second game is about to end. GG gets called as ByuN wins game number 2 as well and puts himself on match point in this best of 5. Game number 3 will be played here on Curious Minds, which is kind of curious indeed, in that we've played Berlingrad, Hardwire, and now Curious Minds, not the greatest Protoss maps. Makes me wonder what Prince ended up vetoing in this best of 5. I can't really ask him, because I don't know him that well. It would be an odd question to ask, but I'm just really quite curious. It doesn't make a lot of sense to not veto Curious or Berlingrad. These are Terran's favorite maps in the world. I'd always veto one of the two at least. ByuN is barely just going to miss this worker moving in. He might be a little bit frustrated by that. It's not going to be the end of the world. As Prince gets the scout, sees that there's a marine building, knows exactly what's going on. What did he open up with? This seems to be a core before Nexus, as this Stalker pops out at 221. Twilight Council gets thrown down pretty fast as well. Wow. That is rather fast stack. That is... He must have mined some extra gas. He must have pulled into gas very quickly in the early game. I don't think a 220 Twilight Council is something that is super common. I haven't seen it a whole lot anyway. It's the Stalker is being chrono boosted out, or no, this one isn't. The first one was. Second Stalker isn't quite. Are we gonna see a Robo here for some type of TT drop, or maybe for a Blink Stalker attack? No, it's just going to be a second gateway, and thus Blink will be researched the moment the money is there. Yep, there we go. Blink starts getting researched as this Reaper starts. I like that he just waited for a long time on this kind of this intermediate step over here. I can't quite show it, but he just sat there waiting to get shot at by a Stalker. And he was like, alright, I got shot at by a Stalker. I'm good. I know what this is. So I do like that. Second barracks is already on the way here for ByuN, who is following this up with a mine drop. Doesn't have that many Marines yet, only 3. So the medevac finishes up, and third depot is on the way as well, of course. Wanting to make sure that he doesn't get supply block. Actually going for a bit of a wall on the low ground, perhaps against some DTs that might want to walk in. Ooh, this Stalker almost gets a kill. This grenade does just barely miss, but the Stalker wasn't in range anyway, so it doesn't really end up mattering. Robotics facility on the way here for Prince, who might be wanting to follow this up with a couple more Stalkers. One Stalker is being warped in right now. More pylons are on the way. He moved into a little bit of a supply block right now. I'm just curious what his actual plan is going to be here. Surely he does not want to play a standard macro game against ByuN, does he? ByuN is fantastic if the game doesn't get weird. And even if the game gets weird, ByuN is pretty fantastic, as we've seen in the previous 2 games. Tank behind this for ByuN, as well as a third gas. Just keeping an eye on that. This triple mine drop is heading in towards the main base. She's going to idle as well in the dead space. I like this move a lot. Not showing the fact that there is a medevac. Now, often what happens is that Protoss players, they look at the timer. They say to themselves, hey, nothing has arrived yet in my main base, and the timer is at 450. That is highly suspicious. Perhaps it's something like a 3-Rex, and we could see blind batteries go down as a result, or we could see Prince starting to move across the map, especially once he gets this scout. With this observer, he might be thinking, well, I don't quite understand what's going on, but it feels like I should be capable of moving across the map. That's exactly what's happening here. These Stalkers start moving across the map. This medevac has still been completely unspotted. Now, the observer might change that. Oh my god, are you kidding me? It's just barely missing. How is that observer not seeing this? Okay, now it is. There we go. So yeah, immediately Prince like, never mind, I'm going back home. Don't fly in, please don't fly in. 5 extra gateways on the way as well as +1 and charged. 6 gateways on the way here, so 7 gateways on the way. This is going to be a big charge lot Stalker effort out of Prince. I'm not so sure if this is going to be working out though. ByuN is fantastic against these types of builds. Yeah, this is 3 batteries being thrown down. Okay, so triple battery. Prism will be for a counter attack. It's not going to pick up the sentries. For a second I thought it was going to pick up the sentries, force field the ramps, and then just go in. Prince is aware that there's a massive army waiting for him here. He's getting an immortal at this point. Warps in 3 zealots in the middle of the road and says, alright, time to head in towards the main base. The sad part for Prince here is that he's not aware when this army will actually start moving out on the map. He's just still gonna get the perfect timing no matter what. Gets in with the Zealots. There's just not that much Prince at home right now. He's going to need at least one more full Warpin to truly deal with this. He's going for the Warpin on the other side instead. Needs to be quick with the pickup. Needs to be solid with the pickup. Does get the pickup on, well, I think 2 out of the 3 Zealots. Another big Warpin here. There's just not that much Prince at home. And there's a crap ton of ByuN. There are a couple of sentries, but this is not the greatest map for force fields. Can we get some? Can we get some? Yes, we can. Super Battery also gets activated. Immortal's going to stay alive. The tank not quite participating in this battle. 7 workers going down at the same time in ByuN space. And these Zealots need to get picked up. These 2 bad boys start walking towards the north, while the Prism starts dropping towards the south, where that second base is located. Fantastic hold out of Prince, who is in a marvelous position here, and ByuN needs to absolutely switch gears at this point and go home. He needs to get a 3rd base up at some point. This is the opposite of a dream start. This is a nightmare start here for ByuN, as Prince says, hey, I think I might have a timing in a little bit. I want to throw down a Templar Archives, continue my Immortal production, and the question now just is, will it be for Storm or will it be for an Archon push? With Storm you have this very solid damage output that you can throw wherever you want, and with Archons sometimes mines do mess you up. The moment Ghosts come out, Archons become kind of useless, so it is just a question of what Prince wants. Does he want the Archons, which can come online a lot faster and are more consistent, or the Storms with that high impact in the game, but they take a long time to get out. They're very expensive to tech to, and I'm not quite sure if Prince exactly has that time available to himself right now. These mines are already taking out a bunch of the Zealots. Zealot count has been diminished greatly here. 9 more Zealots are being warped in. Blink forward, but it wasn't the most brilliant blink. 3rd CC is about to finish up as ByuN is trying to trade some of his army. Storm is going to be the weapon of choice here for the Korean Protoss player. As we have... yeah, this needs to be a recall on this Prism, by the way. This, yeah, 100% a recall. Liberators do eventually end up killing a Prism. It is a slow, painful and long process. Wow. But yeah, you do need to recall. It's also nice to have the Prism still alive while you're building these Templar, of course. So we should see some Templar in this Prism. 4 Templar in the Prism already. The reason I said wow was because Prince took the line base as a fort. This is something that is extremely uncommon, and I'd be surprised if ByuN even considers it. Now, double Liberators are being put in position. Once again, this Storm isn't quite done yet, which means... oh my god. Well, this is a good way to figure out that there indeed is a fort base on the top side. Super Battery is being activated right now. Prince in a world of trouble, as he's not quite in a good position to deal with this threat yet. Storm does end up finishing. Here comes the Prism with the Storms. Here comes the Prism with the Storms. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And not the greatest Storms, honestly. They barely hit the army. ByuN's going to be walking away from here, A, with a very big bank, as he hasn't really been macroing during this. 1200 minerals in that bank, and B, with a decently sized army. The control was fantastic, and Prince's control was just lacking a little bit. That fort base is up and ByuN is aware of it, but it's not really a huge threat to ByuN currently, because ByuN is up in workers, ByuN is up in income, especially once a couple of these mules start mining. We'll see the mineral income absolutely skyrocket. Fort base needs to be saturated, and that fort base has also been betrayed by the workers that tried to transfer over to it, but just ended up dying. So not only did they die, but they also achieved absolutely nothing, but just give away the location of the fort. Kind of painful. 4 more Templar on the way here, but no transition into Colossi is available yet, and that is the real issue, because the moment Enhanced Shockwave finishes, the moment Ghosts start hitting the field, I think that Prince will be in a lot of trouble. Templar and Gateway units are great, but they're only just great if your opponent doesn't have EMP. The moment EMP comes out, Gateway units just lose so much value. Same with Templar, they just, well, it's a Gateway unit, so it will also lose a lot of value. You need another type of splash, and whether that is the Disruptor or the Colossi, often we first see Colossi come out, and I like this anticipation a lot out of ByuN, saying, hey, you need to tech into Colossi. If you don't tech into Colossi, my Ghost will win. And also, my Vikings will be capable of zoning out that War Prism that I know you still have. And most likely is inhabited by these High Templar. These High Templars practically living here right now. Not rent-free, they do have to pay in storms. But it is Yeah, ByuN is very well aware of this. Liberator siege up. This is not a fight that Prince can take. I can't believe that this is a fight that Prince can take. Well, EMP is actually not dealing too well with this gateway army. I think there was only one ghost out yet. ByuN will hold for now with the SCV pool. This was a lot closer than I thought it would be. The Prism dying was absolutely massive here because one more Zealot warping could completely change the tide of this battle. There's 2 Vikings that need to land as well. Oh my god, I can't actually believe this. I really thought this was going to be a super clean hold. But it wasn't. ByuN actually losing 15 workers. Prince now with a saturated fort base. He needs to transition at some point. I really still believe the need to transition. He needs to get a robo bay, a second robotics facility. Yes, there we go. Thank you so much, Prince. Alright. He has a future in this game. I actually believe that his position currently is favored for him. He starts flying across the map with 4 Templar in a prism. I don't think right now is the time for storm drops on a mineral line, especially because there's a sensor tower out already. There's a bunch of turrets as well. Prince is aware of this. This is going to make it difficult to navigate around with that prism. Maybe the plan is to kill like 8 workers in the main. I just don't think it is that useful. And there's a Viking here as well. This is an expensive prism, please, yeah. Like, that's 600 gas in there. You can't just lose 600 gas. I'd much rather have it stay alive. Watchtower currently not being occupied certainly is a mistake. Double robos not producing. Probably also a mistake here. Here we go. Double Colossi, no thermal lens. Gas is not available yet. This gas has not been taken. So Prince working off of 7 gases. This is a scary push out of ByuN. Is this push scary enough though? I'm not quite sure what the answer is. Superior upgrades for Prince. Plenty of storms available. 1. Ooh, does knock the tightest micro there out of Prince. One of these Templar is still has some energy. There's 1 storm available. He's gonna wait for these Colossi, but will give up his 5th base. This was not a great fight, and once again, this is a little bit better, but also not a brilliant fight. Still 1 storm available here. No storm available in a couple of seconds, but might just get sniped. Yep, get sniped the moment it hit the 75, and ByuN's just gonna walk over this army. The fight really just kind of commencing before the Colossi pop out. Makes me doubt the decision to fight there before that happens. You've already lost the 5th base. What's the point of fighting 10 seconds before two major game-changing units pop out? I don't quite know, but it looks like ByuN is just going to win this game, and with this game we'll win the series as well, 3-0. Very clean games. A little bit of trouble in that final game. Looked like he might have actually died, and let's not forget that his first push also did absolutely nothing. Prince had one of the biggest leads imaginable, but could not quite convert that into a win, as ByuN seemed to be the superior player. That's going to be it from me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this best of 5. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you, and bye bye.